Universal's Epic Universe, the new Florida theme park, has experienced its first major setback with Hurricane Ian recently hitting. However, it seems that the Universal team has not let this setback affect the construction progress of the massive new theme park planned to open in 2025. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Exploring Attractions. If you're new here, consider subscribing down below with those bell notifications turned on, and make sure to check out our TikTok for more theme park videos and fun at tiktok.com/exploringattractions, or you can click the link down below in the description and find everything else down there as well. Today we are taking another dive into some Epic Universe construction photos that were released by Reconstruct on Twitter. If you haven't already, then make sure you follow his account for more awesome aerial shots across the Orlando area, because without the help of his account, we would not be able to make these awesome videos for you all to enjoy and for us to analyze. The project was recently hit by Hurricane Ian, and most of the areas in the land were unfortunately flooded. It appears that the Universal Classic Monsters Land and the How to Train Your Dragon Land were the ones that received the biggest hit. The three centerpieces in the hub of the park were also hit pretty hard, with the rumored flat ride section being completely underwater. Though it's unlikely that this caused any major delay to the Epic Universe project, because as of a few days ago, all the flooding has been drained in the different areas, and vehicles and construction members are now back on site. We expect for this project to still be moving forward with its planned 2025 opening year. We're first kicking things off with the Super Nintendo World. As we move over to Super Nintendo World, track rapidly moves along on the future Yoshi's Adventure Omnimover ride. You can see that a lot of the exposed green track from weeks prior have now been covered fully with an orange top hiding the green below. So that was kind of the orange top that we were talking about in previous updates that was slowly getting placed on the track. As more track begins to get covered, the more track gets placed right after, leading into the main indoor show scene of the ride, wrapping all the way around to the load station. You can tell just how long the ride will be with the bridge and supports across from the already placed track. So it kind of makes like a big circle, and like I said, eventually they'll start placing track in that indoor show building, which isn't a very big show scene. If you watch the Japan POV, you can tell just how big it's going to be. The loading station is now nearly fully covered as steel continues to be placed over the rotating circle, which is located at the top deck of the ride's queue. So soon, like everything in Super Nintendo World, we won't be able to see a lot of progress going on. Right behind Yoshi, more work continues on the highly anticipated Donkey Kong roller coaster. This coaster has had more track placed that features a unique experience, making riders feel as if they aren't riding any track at parts of the experience. You can really tell the complexness of the entire attraction's track and start to see all the supports receive more track as the days goes on. This will definitely be one of the most unique coasters in the US once it opens up, with the rest of the theme park equipped with a water feature that is also being prepped to be intertwined with the unique track. We were actually out in Orlando this past week and saw this area from a ground view, literally drove right past it, and all I can say is wow, it looks so much more impressive in person and over pictures. And it's also a lot taller than I expected, a lot bigger. For more information on the Donkey Kong Mine Coaster and just all the nitty-gritty details, you can check out Theme Park Stop with Alicia Stella on YouTube, which we'll leave down below in the description. Moving over to the Mario Kart Koopa's Challenge attraction, it appears that there's no major steps that have been made since the last update we did, as the building continues to close up, hiding more and more of the ride's queue and the different show scenes. One new thing, at least to me, is you can see the Princess Peach's castle, which will be the entrance to Super Nintendo World, is also starting to show detail, with the castle sitting on the second deck, similar to the one that they have over at Universal Studios Japan. You can tell where the castle is going to sit at, and you can see that it's very similar to what's underneath as well. But it's not the same in Hollywood, as Hollywood sits on ground level. Across the way from Super Nintendo World sits DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon, which will feature multiple attractions, including a thrilling coaster. The coaster station, which will serve as one of the main attractions in the land, looks to be getting vertical within the coming days, with footers surrounding, and which will eventually have coaster tracks. The station looks to be relatively smaller, which begs the question whether or not this will be an indoor or an outdoor queue. We would love to see them do something similar with the theming as they did with Velocicoaster over at Islands of Adventure. If that is the case, mixing both covered outdoor and indoor indoor cute elements. Progress is being made for concrete pour for the different water and terrain features a part of this coaster. You can see from this shot just how far the coaster will stretch throughout the land. And if we take a closer look, you can get an idea of just how big the rumored Great Hall restaurant will be, comparing the scale of the coaster progress to the circle on the right hand side. That Great Hall restaurant will be where all those vertical pillars are located at, like I said, right on the right hand side. I think that the How to Train Your Dragon coaster is one of those things that nobody really knows a whole lot about, and which makes it more exciting for everybody to experience it. No visible progress has been made on the theater attraction that's supposed to be a part of How to Train Your Dragon. This is to the left of this photo. However, we do get an amazing look at how far along the entire How to Train Your Dragon land is, and just how massive the land will be once it's complete. And actually with this shot too, if you look on the right hand side, that's going to be where the just generic Epic Universe themed dueling coaster is supposed to be at. You can see what looks to be the loading station at the top part of the photo, and then once you get lower on, there's no construction at all. However, there's tons of construction vehicles there. Looks like we're flattening out that dirt to prepare for them to start putting potentially footers and supports over there. I don't know, I just found that interesting. I know I talk a lot about how big it's going to be on like a weekly basis when I make these updates, but truly, like, How to Train Your Dragon looks huge if you put it on top of Super Nintendo World, which is one of these smaller lands in the theme park. And this and Universal Monsters will probably be the biggest. Now, we are almost 100% certain that the rumored Ministry of Magic ride will be coming to the Wizarding World with Epic Universe, but it was also rumored that that wouldn't be the only ride a part of this land. However, since then, rumors suggest that the second attraction has now been scrapped and will be used as an expansion to the theme park in the future. Moving over to the Ministry of Magic though, it appears that out of all the massive ride buildings currently being constructed, that this is the first that will be fully complete. Tons of lifts are visible on and surrounding the building, all working to place paneling on all the steel that will hold the ride inside. We suspect that once it's all closed up, more of the ride layout and detail will start to take place. From the side you can see just how large this building is and kind of get an idea of where the entrance to the Ministry of Magic will be located at. Now, even though we may not be able to see what's going on inside the Ministry of Magic, we'll still be able to track the progress of the surrounding city buildings on the outside of the ride. Footers have been placed all around this floor to prep vertical construction for all of these city buildings. And really, I can't wait to see how immersive this new Wizarding World is going to be, considering the success of Diagon Alley at Universal Studios Florida and Hogsmeade at Islands of Adventure. These buildings will feature multiple gift shops and dining options inside of them, and there's even rumors of a theater attraction coming as a part of this new Wizarding World. But it's hard to tell exactly where that's going to be located at based on the construction photos right now. I'm sure as time goes on, we'll start to see more of a definitive building that looks like something would hold an attraction compared to just city building facades. There's not a whole lot going on with the Universal Monsters land other than the flooding that I showed in the beginning, so we're going to skip that for today. To wrap things up for this video, we're going to talk about the central hub features of Epic Universe, in which, like I said, a lot of them were hit very hard with Hurricane Ian. Now, you can tell just how much they were hit because with the main water feature that will sit right in front of the hotel of Epic Universe, it's super muddy. I'm sure it makes it extremely difficult for construction workers to work on something like this, especially with it being a water feature, but it looks like they're in the progress of clearing it all. Other than that, there's been no visible change to the actual structural area of the little water feature, but there has been a lot of change done to the one that will hold an attraction. Now, the attraction one was completely underwater, covered with water. You cannot see any of the detail at all. However, now that that's all drained, and I'm assuming that was a lot easier to drain compared to the other water feature, you can also see just how complex this attraction is going to be. And you know, the attraction itself may not be complex, it may just be a very simple flat ride, which we'll talk about here in a few seconds, but the actual construction to make that platform and make something that's going to sit in both water and have a ground feature with an attraction placed on top of it, that's what looks super complex. There's a lot that has to go into making that. I briefly mentioned that the flat ride has been changed. A lot of us were speculating that it will be a carousel because from the concept art of Epic Universe, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a carousel. But now rumors suggest that this is going to be a spinning flat ride that's going to feature different water effects that you can shoot outside of the attraction and both inside of the attraction, which I think will fit a lot more than a carousel. I I do think that there should be some form of carousel located somewhere in Epic Universe. I just feel like that's a normal thing for any theme park to have. I mean, we obviously have the one over at Sousa Landing over at Islands of Adventure, so I guess you could say that the resort already has one, but I do think that Epic Universe, the overall theme, I think that it could do well with a carousel. Hell, maybe it could even be placed in the How to Train Your Dragon area, and you could be riding the backs of dragons. But I don't think that any of these water features will be held back much longer. I think within the next couple weeks or so, we'll start to see more of a definitive platform placed on the one where the attractions will be placed at, and that way we can kind of tell, is it going to be a spinner flat ride or some other flat ride, or is it actually going to be a carousel? I think overall with the construction right now, it's really hard to tell what's going to finish first. I can say Super Nintendo World's going to finish first, but then it looks like Monsters is going to finish first. Like, they all look like they are going to be finishing very, very soon. And when I say finishing, I solely mean just them closing up the buildings and starting to put in more detail, and that's where all the other thousands of construction workers come in. I think construction progress will get very, very exciting once we start to see that tiny little bit of detail, whether it be in the hub or any of the surrounding lands. That's going to be super exciting. But I want to know your guys' overall thoughts down below. Do you think that Epic Universe was put on a delay now with Hurricane Ian, or do you think that they're chugging along? And which land are you most excited to see based on the current construction progress? Let me know down below in the comments section. As always, big shout out to Reconstruct. Make sure to check out his Twitter down below in the description. My name is Scott, and you've been watching Exploring Attractions. As always, positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace out, everybody.